Now, let's go on deeper to what sociology is. Once again, sociology is the systematic and scientific study of human social life. Sociologists study people as they form groups and interact with one another. The groups they study may be small, such as married couples, or large, such as subculture of suburban teenagers. Sociology places special emphasis on studying societies, both as individual entities and as elements of global perspective. Okay? Sociology as a social science. Sociology is a scientific study of human society, its origin. So yes, we can try to study where that society first came from, structure, function, and direction. It studies the influence that society has on people's attitude and behavior. So, of course, a society can actually influence our attitudes and behavior. Okay. So it tries to study how it affects us as people who live in society. It also seeks to understand the ways in which people interact and shape society. So if the society can actually affect us, we as people can also affect our own society. So it's like give and take. Okay? The origins of sociology. Sociology is a relatively young science beginning in late 19th century Europe during a time of great social upheaval. Intellectuals such as Auguste Comte, Harriet Martineau, Emile Durkheim, and others began to explore ideas for regaining a sense of community and restoring order. So after World War II, however, the greatest development of sociology has taken place in the United States of America. Two early contributors were activists, Jane Addams and W.E.B. Du Bois, who helped focus people's attention on social issues. So let's talk about the pioneers or the starters who studied sociology. The early scholars who contributed significantly for the development of sociology as a young science are listed below. First is Auguste Comte, who lived between 1778 to 1857. So he was born after the French Revolution of 1789. Okay. So the French Revolution was a time of social and political upheaval in France and its colonies that began in 1789 and ended in 1799. It inspired It was inspired by liberal and radical ideas. Its overthrow of the monarchy influenced the decline of absolute monarchies in other parts of Europe. So that's the society he lived in. So Auguste Comte is French. So he proposed the philosophical position of positivism. He theorized that the methods of physical science are regarded as the accurate means of obtaining knowledge, and therefore social science should adhere to the same. So he developed the idea and coined the term sociology. And that means Auguste Comte is the founder of sociology. He was the one who began the study of sociology. Now let's talk about Harriet Martin Yu, who lived between 1802 to 1876. And so she translated Comte's work in English. So as far as you can remember, Comte is French. Okay. So she spoke out in favor of the rights of women, the emancipation of the slaves, and religious tolerance. As far as you can remember, back in 17th century, 18th century, and even in the 19th century, and even in the 20th century, uh, most women don't have any power yet. And also, most women are only confined inside houses, and we don't have that much uh, rights yet. So Harriet Martin Yu pretty much spoke out in that way as well. So that, of course, we women will have our freedom of speech and finally uh, eradicate slavery. So her book, Society in America, examines religion, politics, child rearing, and immigration in the young nation. So at that time as well, most people were actually immigrating in the United States of America since they think of it as the new paradise. Most Irish actually went there and immigrated in the United States of America when it was very young. So she also emphasized the impact that the economy, law, trade, and population could have on the social problems of contemporary society. She said that intellectuals and scholars should not simply offer observations of social conditions, but they should act upon their conditions in a manner that will benefit society. So Karl Marx, so he lived between 1818 to 1883. So he was the one who actually coined communism. Okay. He is also considered as one of the thinkers of the modern times. He was a native German and later exiled in England. He said the sociologist's task is to explain conflict. That conflict is shaped by the means of production. He said that industrialization resulted in two classes, owners and laborers. So when we say owners and laborers back at that time, we are talking about capitalism. So he wanted uh, everyone to have um, equal rights, and of course, he was he always kept on saying that everyone should own the land. So that's what we say as communism. But at this time around, as far as I can see, uh, it's only my own opinion, but most people who use Karl Marx philosophy isn't actually following that uh, philosophy of Karl Marx. Then Herbert Spencer, 1820 to 1903. So he lived at that time. So Herbert Spencer grew up in England. He proposed that there is the parallelism between how society evolves in the same manner as animal species do. The principle is attributed to Darwin's theory of evolution. So as far as you can remember, Charles Darwin created, he was the one who talked about theory of evolution. So whenever we say theory of evolution, we are talking about that humans started with apes. Okay. So through Spencer's theory, it could be further said that man as a member of society is in a never-ending competition, and the name of the game is to win, or what we say as survival of the fittest. Okay? Then, Emil Durkheim, who lived between 1858 to 1917, he was the only person who studied the discipline in the School of Higher Learning thoroughly. He provided insights into the social forces that contributed to the rise of the global village. He proposed four types of suicide based on the degrees of imbalance of two social forces: social integration and moral regulation. He concluded that suicide is not an ordinary phenomenon. Then Max Weber, who lived between 1864 to 1920, so he focused on how industrial revolution changed thoughts and action and how it brought about a process called rationalization. So when we say industrial revolution, it's actually the rise of rapid technology. When we say rationalization, it refers to the way daily life is organized so as to accommodate large groups of people. Now let's talk about other sociologists. First is Albion Small. So he was the founder of the Department of Sociology at the University of Chicago. He established the American Journal of Sociology. W.E.B. Du Bois. He is also a Black American who conducted research on race relations in the US. Then we have Wright Mills. It urged sociologists to get back to social reform. Then we do have Robert K. Merton. He stressed that sociologists need to develop middle range theories as explanations of human behavior that go beyond the particular observation or research, but avoid sweeping generalizations that attempt to account for everything. Now let's talk about the development of sociology in the Philippines or the development of sociology in our country. So we do have Serafin M. Macaraig, the first Filipino to acquire a doctorate degree in sociology and published a book called or entitled An Introduction to Sociology in 1938. Then we do have Father Valentin Marin. He introduced sociology in the Philippines with the opening of criminology program at University of Santo Tomas in 1950. Then we do have Conrado Benitez and Luis Rivers. They are among the first teachers of sociology in the Philippines. So in 1952, Filipino pioneers in sociology organized the Philippine Sociological Society, which main thrust is to collect, interpret, and propose possible solutions to different Philippine sociological phenomena. In 1957, the Community Development Research Council was created to conduct and support social science research. So when we say anthropologists and actually sociologists, we actually call them as researchers as well. They were the ones who gather a lot of data about the society. So in 1960, Father Frank Lynch, S.J., founded the Institute of Philippines Culture at the Ateneo de Manila University. In 1972, Javier University was given credit as the first school which opens a program in PhD in sociology. It was the University of the Philippines that offered a bachelor degree in sociology. So let's talk about the three major perspectives in sociology. Sociologists analyze social phenomena at different levels and from different perspectives. Sociologists today employ three primary theoretical perspectives: the symbolic interactionist perspective, the functionalist perspective, and the conflict perspective. These perspectives offer sociologists theoretical paradigms for explaining how society influences people and vice versa. Each perspective uniquely conceptualizes society, social forces, and human behavior. So, sociological perspectives. First is symbolic interaction. So, its founding father is Mead, who lived between 1863 to 1931. So, he is an American philosopher. The, the theoretical perspective supports that first, people attach meaning to symbols. Then they act according to subject interpretations. So Mead is trying to tell us that we as people attach meaning to symbols. So just like with what we are looking right now, we do attach meaning to the letters we see right now. So as far as you can remember, alphabet is an example of symbols. So whenever you see a logo as well outside, those are examples of symbols, and every one of us attach meaning to those symbols, even just a simple uh, arrow. So when we look at an arrow, we attach meaning to where it goes, right, left, up, down. We already know its meaning even without the letters. Okay, so that means when we already know its meaning as human beings, um, we are pretty much attached to it. Okay, so individual, social groups meaning, the experience of life, we negotiate meaning. Meanings can change or be modified through interaction and through time. As far as you can remember, even words can change meanings. So just one example for the Japanese people, if for them otaku looks like a word for um insult, for other people outside Japan, it's not an insult. So that's the difference what we are actually talking about here. So meanings can change over time and be modified through interaction and through time. Okay? So even the word savage here in the Philippines, or most of our reporters use that word differently from how it actually means in the English language. Okay, then structure, functionalism. Two words can give an idea of this approach: structure and function. The founding fathers of this perspective are Comte, Spencer, and Durkheim. This theoretical perspective says that society is a stable, ordered system of interrelated parts of the structures. Each structure has a function that contributes to the continued stability or equilibrium of the whole. Structures are explained as social institutions like the family, the educational system, politics, religion, mass media systems, and the economy. Structures meet the need of society by performing different functions. First, what would be the functions of above mentioned social institutions? Then, this function, a disturbance to or undesirable consequence of some aspect of the social system. Then, harmony and stability. So, with harmony and stability manifest the obvious intended functions of a social institution or social system. Latent, the less obvious, perhaps unintended functions of a social structure. And cultural theory, the founding father is Karl Marx. So this is Karl Marx. Now let's talk about the principles embodied in this theory. So first, it is a materialistic view of society. So are talking about materials here. It is focused on labor practices and economic reality. We play by the rules and functions of these social systems. Unequal groups usually have conflicting values and agenda, causing them to compete against one another. This constant competition between groups forms the basis of the ever-changing nature of society. Now let's talk about sociological imagination. So sociological imagination is a new concept to social sciences introduced by C. Wright Mills in 1959 in his book titled Sociological Imagination. This coined phrase is used throughout sociology today. This sociological imagination is a concept of being able to think ourselves away from the familiar routines of our daily lives in order to look at them anew. Mills defines sociological imagination as the vivid awareness of the relationship between experience and wider society. It is the ability to see things socially and how they interact and influence each other. To have a sociological imagination, a person must be able to pull away from the situation and think from an alternative point of view. It is also the willingness to view the social world from the perspective of others. So, as people, we have to be willing to view the world from how other people actually look at it. So, it's not just our own perspectives or our own eyes looking at the world. We have to also allow ourselves to actually look at how other people look at our own world. So if you are pretty much happy with your own world, you can uh try to look at the world how other depressed people look at their world and understand how they actually look at it. Okay? So it involves moving away from thinking in terms of you and your problems or your private issues, but focusing rather on the social circumstances that produce social problems or public issues. So when we say public issues, it's the issue of everyone. It's not just your own issues. And of course, when we say public issues, it can also affect you. Okay? So in short, sociological imagination is all about determining the relationship between your ordinary lives and the wider social forces. It is turning your private troubles into public issues. Right. So that's all for today. Does anyone have any question regarding today's lesson? Meron pa po kayong tanong? Okay, so if you don't have any more question, it's now time for me to actually ask questions. So I kept on defining what sociology is. So can you all please try to define what sociology is? What is sociology? Right on the meeting chat. Okay. What more? What is sociology? Yes, it's a study of human society. Okay. It is the study of social life and how we communicate with others. Okay. Thank you. Next question. What is the difference between sociology and anthropology? What is the difference between anthropology and sociology? So first, before that question, define anthropology. What is anthropology? Once again, okay, thank you. Study of overall culture, okay. What more? What is anthropology? Okay, anthropology, once again, is the study of human societies and cultures and their development. So it is the study of human biological and physiological characteristics and their evolution. And so, what is the difference between sociology and anthropology? What is the difference between anthropology and sociology? Okay, so the difference between anthropology and sociology, well, anthropology is rooted in the characteristics, environment, and culture of humans and their ancestors. Sociology is more focused on topics like social change and the social consequences of human behavior. Both sociology and anthropology are broad disciplines. So, yes, thank you, Maria Antoinette. Anthropology is about how we live, and sociology is about our social life. So, that's all for today. Thank you, everyone, for coming, and I do hope to see you once again next week. So before we end our